I spent 4 hours making a decision that took me 4 seconds to regret. 4 hours. Gone.
That is painfully relatable.
And the worst part? I knew the answer the whole time. I just kept thinking my way around it.
Yeah, we call that being smart. I call it being exhausting.
Today, we're talking about overthinking, why we do it, why it gets worse the smarter you are, and what actually helps. Welcome to Honestly English, the podcast where two people have real conversations in real American English, and you just absorb it. I'm Ryan.
And I'm Ashley. And today's question is, why do we overthink the decisions that matter most? And what does it actually cost us?
If you've ever stayed up replaying a conversation or spent way too long choosing between two almost identical options, this one's for you.
And if you're currently overthinking whether to keep listening, that's your answer. Stay.
So I want to start with a confession. 2 years ago, I had a job offer on the table. Good offer, reasonable salary, interesting work, flexible hours, and I spent, I'm not exaggerating, 3 weeks going back and forth on it.
3 weeks?
3 weeks. I made spreadsheets, I asked 8 different people, I wrote pros and cons lists that had pros and cons of the pros and cons.
Oh no.
And here's what's funny. I already knew what I wanted to do, but I kept waiting for something, some kind of guarantee, some piece of evidence that said, this is the right choice, no risk, you're safe.
And obviously, that never came.
It never came. And while I was waiting, the offer expired. They hired someone else, and I just sat there, realizing the decision had been made for me because I refused to make it.
That is the thing about overthinking that nobody talks about. Not deciding is still a decision.
Exactly. Inaction is a choice, a really expensive one.
Okay, mine is more embarrassing.
Go ahead.
So, a few years ago, I was texting someone I really liked, and I drafted a response to one message for, I want to say, 40 minutes?
A text message.
A text message. I wrote 12 versions. I sent it to 2 friends for approval. I said it out loud to test how it sounded.
Ashley.
I know, right? And you know what happened? He replied in literally 30 seconds with, LOL, yeah.
40 minutes. LOL, yeah.
And I remember sitting there feeling so, I don't know, stupid, but also really sad because I realized it wasn't about the text. I was so scared of saying the wrong thing that I couldn't say anything naturally.
That's such an honest moment. You were agonizing over something that, to the other person, was completely casual.
Right. And I think that's what overthinking really does to us. It makes everything feel enormous, like every small choice is life or death.
When really, most of it isn't.
Most of it really isn't. But try telling your brain that at midnight.
Yeah, the brain has its own schedule.
Do you think some people are just wired to overthink more than others?
Honestly, yes. And there's actually a pattern. The people who overthink the most tend to be the most intelligent, the most conscientious, the most caring.
Wait, say more about that.
Because your brain is trying to protect you. It's doing what it was built to do. Find problems, avoid mistakes, anticipate danger. It's just applying that skill to a text message or a job offer when it was originally designed for, I don't know, avoiding a predator.
Great. So my brain thinks my inbox is a lion.
Essentially. And the smarter you are, the more scenarios your brain can generate. So you don't just think of 2 outcomes, you think of 14.
That's exhausting to even hear.
It really is. But it also means overthinking isn't a character flaw, it's a misapplied superpower.
I love that. A misapplied superpower. That makes me feel a lot better about the 40-minute text.
It should.
Okay, so let's get into psychology, because there are real reasons this happens, and once you understand them, the whole thing starts to make more sense.
Okay, so let's get into the psychology, because there are real reasons this happens, and once you understand them, the whole thing starts to make more sense.
I need this, please.
The first concept is something called analysis paralysis. It's exactly what it sounds like. You analyze something so much that you become paralyzed. You can't move forward. The thinking itself becomes the enemy of the doing.
And it happens more often when the stakes feel higher, right?
Yes, but here's the twist. The stakes don't actually have to be high. They just have to feel high. And that's where the second thing comes in. Negativity bias.
What does that mean exactly?
So, research suggests that on average, the human brain spends something like 80% of its processing power scanning for what could go wrong, not what could go right, what could go wrong.
80%. That's a lot.
It's a lot. And from an evolutionary perspective, it made total sense. Our ancestors who worried more about danger survived more, so we inherited that wiring.
But we're not living in the wilderness anymore.
Exactly. We're sitting in coffee shops worrying about a work email, and our brain is treating it like a survival situation.
So is that where anxiety fits in?
Directly. Overthinking and anxiety feed each other. You overthink, which creates more anxiety, which makes you feel like you need more information before deciding, which makes you think more, which creates more anxiety. It's a loop.
That is such a vicious loop.
It really is. And then perfectionism climbs in too.
Oh, those are best friends.
The worst kind of best friends, because perfectionism tells you you can't act until you're ready, until it's right, until all the risk is gone.
But readiness never fully comes.
Never fully, and waiting for it is how people stay stuck for years. I think the best analogy I have for this is standing at the edge of a swimming pool.
Oh, yeah. Testing the water with your toe over and over.
Right. You're testing the water, checking the temperature, calculating the angle of the jump. Meanwhile, the water isn't changing, and the only way to know what it actually feels like is to jump.
And once you're in, you adjust.
Once you're in, you adjust. Every time. That's kind of the secret overthinking hides from us. The adjustment happens after the decision, not before.
So, what's the antidote? Like, is there actually a way to short circuit this?
There is, and it's simpler than people expect, but simple doesn't mean easy.
Obviously.
Your brain will never feel fully ready, so readiness cannot be the standard. Action has to come first, and clarity follows.
Action first, clarity follows. Say that again slowly.
You act before you feel ready, and the act of doing it gives you information that no amount of thinking could.
That is going to stick with me. Okay, let's get into tools, because I want something I can actually use the next time I'm spiraling at midnight.
All right, 5 things, and these actually work.
First one,
The 5-year test. Before you agonize over a decision, ask yourself, will this matter in 5 years? Not 5 days, 5 years. For most things, the answer is genuinely no.
that one immediately deflates the panic. Like, will it matter in 5 years that I sent that email at 3 p.m. instead of 9 a.m.?
It will not.
It will not. Okay, second,
Decision deadlines. Give yourself a hard cutoff. Not a vague, I'll decide soon. A real deadline. I'm deciding by Thursday at noon. Full stop.
because without a deadline, your brain will just keep gathering information forever, and there's always more information.
Always. And this is important. More information doesn't always lead to better decisions. Past a certain point, it just feeds the anxiety.
It's like you're adding fuel to a fire and calling it research.
That's exactly right. You're adding fuel to a fire and calling it research.
Okay, third tool?
Scheduled worry time. This sounds strange, but instead of letting worry interrupt everything all day, you give it a slot. Say 15 minutes at 6 p.m. Anything that starts to spiral before then, you write it down and say, I'll think about that at 6.
That's actually really clever. You're not suppressing it, you're just postponing it.
Right. You're not pretending the worry doesn't exist. You're just containing it. And a lot of the time, by 6 p.m., the thing that felt enormous at noon feels completely manageable.
Because you got some distance from it.
Distance is underrated. Sometimes the best thing you can do for a decision is sleep on it. Not for 3 weeks, but one night, often transformative.
Fourth one.
Act before you're ready. We talked about this, but as a practical tool, the next time you catch yourself waiting for readiness, act first. Send the email, make the call, do the thing. Use the information you gain from doing it to adjust. That's the whole game.
It removes the paralysis immediately because you've made one move and now you're just responding to what's in front of you.
Exactly. You break the loop.
And the fifth one.
The one trusted person rule. Choose one person, not 8, not your whole group chat. One person you genuinely trust. Run it by them once, then decide. And you have to commit to not asking anyone else after.
Because asking more people doesn't reduce uncertainty, it multiplies it.
Every person gives you a different opinion, a different fear, a different flavor of doubt. And suddenly you have 8 new things to overthink.
I have definitely done this, polling the entire contact list and then being more confused than when I started.
We all have. And here's the thing. Most of the time when you ask someone else, you already know their answer before they give it. You're not looking for advice. You're looking for permission.
Ooh, that hit.
Stop looking for permission. Trust your own read on the situation. That instinct, that quiet first answer before the brain kicks in and second guesses, that's usually the one.
The quiet first answer. Softly. Yeah, that one's usually right, isn't it?
More often than we give it credit for. So our question for you today is, what is one decision you've been overthinking? And what would you do if you just trusted yourself?
Honestly, there's a creative project I've been sitting on for almost a year. Every time I get close to starting it, I find a reason it's not ready. The timing isn't right, my ideas aren't developed enough, I need to learn one more thing first. But I think if I just trusted myself, I'd start tomorrow. Just start it messy. Figure it out as I go.
That's a hard thing to say out loud.
It really is.
Mine is simpler, but it's taken me a long time to get here. I used to overthink every conversation I had after it was over, replaying what I said, editing it in my head, deciding it came out wrong. And I've been working on just letting conversations be what they are. People aren't analyzing my words the way I am. They moved on in 30 seconds. The only one still in that conversation is me.
That's so human and so true.
Overthinking is often loneliness, actually. You're stuck inside a moment that everyone else has already left.
Tell us your answer in the comments. We read every one.
If today helped you, share it with someone who needs it. New episodes every Tuesday and Friday. See you next week.
The quietest voice in your head, the first one before the noise, that's the one that already knows.